My ex-wife and I divorced in March of last year. We were married for 12 years. My stepdaughter, Anna, was 6 when I met her, so she is 18, about to turn 19, currently. I helped raise her. She never called me dad growing up. I was fine with that because I'm not a real father, and she already had a father figure growing up. Anna and I were close, but never as close as her parents. I wasn't pushy and just let it be. That being said, my ex and I finalized everything in May. It wasn't the greatest divorce, but it wasn't the worst. In the divorce, I ended up keeping most of my savings, but she got the house and our dog. We also split custody of our son, Sam. The savings is all for me. We both had separate bank accounts. I never touched hers and she never touched mine. I make much more money than my ex does, and I always have. She makes around $80K a year, while I make over $300K a year. She hasn't spoken to me since the divorce, and that was over a year ago. Every holiday I sent her a card saying I miss her with a little cash inside of it. I asked her mom every chance I got how she was. She would keep me in the loop with her life. She told me in December that she didn't want to speak with me anymore. I was really hurt. I still kept sending cards saying thinking about you or I miss you. I was never told to stop. I even asked my ex and she said Anna was getting the cards but didn't keep them. She said Anna would throw them away after she got the cash. I was crushed. I felt like nothing but an ATM. I still sent cards here and there, but not as frequent and without the money. I never got an acknowledgement from her in any way. I gave up on trying to have a relationship with her over the summer. I decided that she didn't want to have a relationship with me, and at this point, she wasn't going to change her mind. She had plenty of chances to start, but never did. That being said, I told Anna I'd help her pay her way through college, but that was while we were together. Anna is taking this semester off to figure out what she wants to do with her life. Anna called me 2 weeks ago, asking how she wants her payment plan set up for the spring semester. I was really hurt. She hasn't spoken with me in over a year. She gladly took the money I gave her, but never tried to contact me. I told her, Anna, you haven't spoken with me in over a year. I tried time and time again to speak with you, but you never tried to talk to me. That's fine, but I'm not going to help pay for your college. She hung up. I sent her a few texts, then she replied back with, I'm blocking you. I stopped. Anna's mother is upset at me, but understands where I'm coming from. I don't want to pay for her college anymore, even though I told her I would. Am I being an a-hole by doing this? She had over a year to contact me, but waited until she needed money to do so. Edit. Just some info, in case you may view it as relevant. My ex felt like she relied too much on me. She wanted more independence. Why the divorce was so ugly was because of the custody of my son. She wanted full, I wanted full. Didn't end the prettiest. I ended up on getting primary custody. After a while, my ex and I buried the hatchet because it wasn't healthy for our son. Edit 2. Her biological father passed away 2 years ago. Edit 3. She also did not invite me to her high school graduation, despite the fact that I asked. Edit 4. So basically, her scholarship would cover over half her costs. She'll need to pay around $7K, from what she told me in the 3-minute conversation we had, a semester, with textbooks and room and board. The delay was that if she were to get a decent scholarship and choose a reasonably priced school, then I'd pay, but that was during the marriage. I didn't set up a college fund because I could take it out of my savings. I did set one up for my son a few months ago, but never one for Anna. Also, she can easily borrow the $7K. It's not like she would be totally helpless. Also, her mother will be sending her a small allowance every 2 weeks. She wouldn't be screwed, but she could use the money. I 10,000% wouldn't pay for her college. Honestly, she would just be using you, and she just sounds like a crappy person in my opinion. She's not your daughter. She doesn't want a relationship with you. She's only using you for money. You've basically been the worst sugar daddy for the past year. She doesn't deserve anything. She has a mom who can help, or she can take out loans. Edit. Within the next couple of days, she'll definitely be texting you that she wants a relationship with you. Don't fall for it. She's going to manipulate you for money, then cease all contact when you finish paying for her college senior year. I was raised by my maternal grandma. To tell a bit of the backstory, my grandparents had 4 children total, 3 boys and my mom, the only girl. My grandfather was a good man and genuinely wanted to raise me to keep me away from my mother's behavior and antics, but sadly, my grandfather passed. I have a cousin that's the daughter of my grandma's oldest son and his wife. She is 3 years older than me. Let's call her Q for Queen because that's what she thinks she is. Q is an only child like me, but was given any and everything she wanted. She has no concept of the real world and how people actually live. My uncle and his wife paid for top-notch elementary, middle, and high schooling, and then paid for 4 years at James Madison University in Harrisburg, Virginia. What always got to me is the fact her parents had to pay for her to have the same opportunities that others did, as they had scholarships and things they'd worked for. Q was an average student at best, hasn't used her education at all, and now lives in her mother's basement with her husband. But on to the topic. My father and paternal grandmother were not large people, in either stature or girth. My dad's mom was only 4'5", and my dad was doing good to be over 5'2" with shoes on. Couple that with my own mother not being very tall, and it resulted in me being a whooping 4'11". I've always been a very small, petite person. Often enough, the clothing I purchase has to be altered by hemming or shortening the article if I don't want to be stuck in skinny jeans, as I can stop them from dragging the ground. I also have a lifelong problem of finding shoes. I've often had to get clothing from the big kids section and hate it. My cousin, on the other hand, is a large girl. Her mother is a very tall and broad woman. Genetics. By the time my cousin was 8, she was well over 100 pounds, and her weight continued to climb. My uncle's wife wouldn't hear anything about restricting what my cousin ate or drank, giving her whatever she wanted. She'd also enroll my cousin in activities such as tap dancing and ballerina dancing, both of which she didn't even attempt to participate in. I don't know why my aunt enrolled her. My cousin, from a momentary standpoint, has always been well off, and a lot of her clothing was purchased from high-end brands or handmade. But she was confined to brands that catered to plus-size women, as this was before all companies expanded to cater to women of all sizes. I used to dread holidays or family gatherings, as my cousin would always throw a fit if I received clothing as a gift. I have a great aunt, the wife of my grandma's late brother, who was incredibly close to my grandma and I. Great aunt often gave me clothing from popular brands for Christmas, as well as makeup from companies like Stepdaughter, or a gift card to somewhere like Old Navy or The Gap. Great aunt did this because she knew my grandma couldn't afford items like this for me on a regular basis and wanted to help. She'd usually get my cousin something nice, but of lesser value, because, as I've said, and great aunt mentioned in a room full of people, my cousin's parents could afford to give her whatever she wanted. My cousin thought it was unfair that I received clothing from these brands because she herself couldn't wear them due to sizing. My cousin would make statements about it, saying things like it wasn't fair that I got to wear stuff like that, as cousin could afford it but couldn't wear it, and would make direct comments about me being poor and how I should be confined to wear Kmart clothing. My uncle's wife would back Q up, saying I was hurting Q's feelings on purpose, or that it wasn't fair that I had things Q couldn't due to her size. School was also an issue. I worked for everything I achieved through school, as I knew my grandma didn't have the money to pay my way. In high school, I was accepted into the governess school on an internship based on academic scores, whereas my uncle and aunt had to pay for Q to go there. I got a job in high school because even though my grandma did receive some money for me, it wasn't enough. I was in AP honors classes through high school, while Q was in basic classes minus 1 or 2. My uncle would berate my grandma for allowing me to do these things as it wasn't fair to Q. Thankfully, my grandma knew the sense of entitlement they had and told them so. I've done well in my life. My husband and I own a business in the death care industry. Q has not, and will tell anyone who will listen that it's my fault. She and her mother have both tried meanness and extortion to get money from me, but I've never given in. My aunt tells everyone it's not fair because I was born to fail, not having proper parents or the financial advantages Q had. My uncle passed away several years ago, and until the day he went, he was still paying Q's way through life. My cousin is pushing 450 plus pounds, and it worries me because I don't want to see her suffer ill health as a consequence of her own actions. This is one of those cases where a person eaten up by jealousy decides to eat everything else. And I say that as a large person who can't wear designer clothes myself, except I don't blame anyone else for it. Your cousin was never taught self-control. That is not your fault. Your cousin has always taken the easy way. Blaming you is easy. Taking control of her own life and responsibility for her own actions is hard, and she's never learned how to do that. Sucks to be her, and the next time you see her and she starts mouthing off, give her a mirror and tell her, "Cousin, this is the person shoving food down your throat. This is the person who makes you not exercise or eat healthy. This is the person to blame. And until you deal with her, you need to stop blaming everyone else." So, my best friend, N, called me a few days ago and asked me for a favor. I expected him to ask me to go to his house and help out or something, because that's something we usually do. But he asked me for a very large amount of money. In USD, it would be around 100K. It's an insane amount in my country, because a middle-class family can comfortably live on that amount for at least 5 or 6 years. I told him that it was next to impossible. N told me to try and that it was for a friend of his, X. Apparently, X used his properties as collateral for a loan, and his investments tanked. He has other investments that can cover this, but those can't be used for another 3 to 6 months, by which time his property would be foreclosed. N expects me to lend X money for around 6 months, at my risk, till X can withdraw his investments and pay me back. Otherwise, X's family is going to lose their home. Now, N knows my financial situation. I'm in the first year of my doctoral program. I don't work. I'm what people would call a trust fund baby. I can be sure of a steady stream of money for the rest of my life, so long as I don't tap into the principal. But my yearly payout won't cover what he needs, and I won't tap into my fund's principal amount. I have other resources, but my family is a multi-generational one. Financial matters that involve large sums of money are still family decisions. I'd have to tell them why I'm tapping into the family finances, and they won't approve. Not only that, I refuse to take from resources that also belong to my uncles and cousins, and which might leave them worse off. More than that, I don't want to give them the money. Call it paranoia, but handing over a huge sum of money to someone who's already made bad financial decisions doesn't seem smart to me, especially when there are so many layers between the financier and the debtor. And bringing money into a friendship tends to sour the relationship, and I don't want that. My friend also asked me if I could ask my friends, but most of them aren't well off enough to afford that, and the ones who are rich enough aren't stupid enough to just give away their money. So this is my reasoning for denying his request, but it would be impolite if I tell him all of this. I have a habit of speaking before thinking, and I don't want to lose a 10-plus year friendship over something like this. What should I say? How should I say it? Please help me deal with this. Your friend asked for a ridiculous amount of money, not for himself, but for a third party to bail them out of a bad investment. No. Basically, X overextended himself, gambled, and lost something he couldn't afford to lose, and now wants your friend to get you to bail him out. They're offering nothing other than their word that someone else will pay you back. Your friend is scamming you, or X is scamming him. I, 15 female, am the result of an affair between my dad, 41 male, and my mom, 44 female. I also have a brother, 11 male, who is also my dad's child. My dad has been married for 21 years to his wife, 41 female, and they have 3 kids together. During this marriage, he began an affair with my mom in his home country. He now lives and works in another country, and it lasted for years, and they had me and my brother. My dad kept the affair a secret and kept us a secret. I always knew about his other family, but he never allowed us to meet, until I found out that he was hiding us because he was married. This made me very jealous, because I only saw my dad a few times a year, and he spent all his time with his other family. He would post them on social media and go on nice vacations with them, all that stuff, and we would be left on the side. I finally snapped and sent a message via Facebook to his wife and told her everything I knew. My dad told me she filed for divorce and yelled at me for ruining his marriage and family. He didn't call me for a few days, and I thought he had disowned me, but he eventually called and he came to see me to apologize for what he said. He told me he loved me and that I did the right thing by telling the truth. The problem now is he sounds very sad when I call him, and I feel he resents me for what I did. He says he doesn't, but I'm not sure. Is there anything I can do to make him feel better? He ruined his life. If he didn't want his wife to divorce him, he shouldn't have had a whole second family and 2 kids he completely abandoned. He was angry from the shock. He wanted you to go along with his secret. What did he think would happen when you 2 got older and started questioning why your dad was never around to spend time with you? Of course you would go digging. Plus, he has denied you a relationship with your half-siblings by keeping you hidden. Not to mention possible aunts, uncles, and his parents, your grandparents. He is probably going to be sad for a while, because he knows he is going to be alone now. Plus, what his other children from his main family are going to think of him for this. Not to mention his parents, siblings, friends, co-workers, etc. It's the consequences of his actions that he was hoping to avoid.